All right, Shalom. All praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Double honor to the apostles, bishops, elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, hopefully elect. And just through the spirit. All right. Because I've been meditating, on this whole um debt ceiling situation. All right. That they keep prolonging. They're basically kicking the can down the road. All right. And like I said, it just has me meditating, because it's like, now ultimately we're not to hasten the Most High. All right, everything is on the Lord's time. But I know a lot of us were hoping that they didn't come to some deal. All right, and America will basically default. That's what we were hoping. But again, and as I was saying, we can't hasten about the Most High. So, for whatever reason, through the Spirit, these devils, they came up with some bipartisan deal. All right, and like I said, just prolonged, because you're only kicking the can down the street at this point. But you see, the thing is, eventually the street is going to come to an end. Eventually the road is going to come to an end. All right, and I titled this the way that I titled it, through the Spirit, because we've had different examples of this great wealth transfer throughout time and history. All right, but this transition that we're about to see, man, this is going to be the greatest wealth transfer. All right, because again, just meditating on this whole debt ceiling, which, like I said, they did in fact come to some deal. All right, and just speculating through the Spirit. All right, because I don't know for sure, but just speculating through the Spirit. Because in this thing of ours, you have to be a visionary. We have to be visionaries. We have to think outside the box and be able to see beyond all possible outcomes, right? Because we know at the end of the day, all roads are going to lead to the MOTB being mandated. All right, at the end of this thing, all roads lead to the MOTB. That CHIP, the Revelation 13, 16, and 17. All right. So with that being said, again, through the Spirit, I titled this the way that I titled it, because basically America has a debt that is never going to be able to pay. All right. The official numbers are somewhere over, it's over 300 trillion, 30 trillion, right? But the actual numbers are a lot more than that. All right. I think over 200 or 300 trillion when you really, factor in everything. But nevertheless, either way, like I said, as far as this debt, Babylon, this is a debt that is never going to be able to pay off. All right, and it was designed that way, you see. So with that being said, there's going to be a wealth transfer. All right, and again, we've had different examples of these different wealth transfers throughout time in history, but this is going to be the greatest wealth transfer. With all the talks of the CBDCs and the UBIs, the universal basic incomes, and so on and so forth, everything that's been in the talks, if you've been paying attention, again, we're heading to a great transfer, or a wealth transfer. So with that being said, like I've been saying, man, I've just been Salakia. Bear with me. I'm gonna just see if I'm still alive, man, real quick. Salakia. Bear with me. The spirits on the left hand might not want this to come out, So like I was saying, with this whole debt ceiling situation, like I said, a lot of us were hoping that this shit would just default. you know, and I'm sure I can speak for others as well. Like I said, I was, you know, was a little disappointed when they actually came to this deal, you know. But on another note, on the contrary, it makes sense because again, this great wealth transfer, all right, you know, this great wealth transfer, because like I was saying, it had me meditating and thinking upon this debt jubilee, all right, you know, and I'll go ahead and just get into a few scriptures going into this, because Esau, again, this is just speculation, but he can use this on the left hand. You see, Esau, as much as he might have people thinking that, you know, they don't know the scriptures, they know the scriptures. Now they may not understand the scriptures, they may not have the complete understanding of the scriptures, but Esau, for the most part, they know about these scriptures, man. All right, they know about these scriptures, you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off with this in Leviticus chapter 25. I just start at verse 1. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord. 6 years thou shalt sow thy field, and 6 years thou shalt prune thy vineyard, and gather in the fruit thereof." And, you know, because you see, well, let me read verse 4. It says, "But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land, a Sabbath for the Lord. Thou shalt neither sow thy field nor prune thy vineyards." And you see Esau, again, because like I said, they know the scriptures, but like I said, they don't necessarily have the full understanding of the scriptures, and they don't believe in the scriptures. You know, they take, you know, what's useful, what they can use, all right, for their benefits. Because, you know, we have a saying, you know, when it comes to certain watching certain videos and going into different articles and things of that nature, because you see, the spirit of discernment has to be on you. So with that being said, we have a saying that, hey, you got to be able to chew the meat and spit out the bones, you know, the unnecessary necessities, all right, the unnecessaries, all right, you know, because, you know, Esau, he, and again, going back to Apostle Gabar, often says how, you know, Esau, man, hey, because in order to teach lies, man, you have to know the truth. And again, like I said, Esau, he knows what's up. Esau knows what's up. So they know these scriptures, man. They study the apostles and they watch brothers' videos and everything, man. They know. But like I just said, you got to be able to chew the meat and spit out the bones. Well, Esau, he does that on the left hand. All right. He does that on the left hand. He takes what, you know, he can use to his benefit, and the rest he just, you know, cast aside. Salakia. All right. So with that being said, Esau, you know, he's going to take what he can use out of the scriptures to his benefit, to his will, to fulfill his purpose. All right. And that's, and again, to show you how Esau, like I say, he knows the scriptures, but they don't really believe in the scriptures, man, because if he did, then as I just read here, all right, you're supposed to have a land Sabbath. That's what this is going into. 6 years, you're supposed to till the land and, you know, do what you do. But on the 7th year, you're supposed to give the land a rest. All right, you're supposed to let that land rejuvenate, you know. But Esau, he's constantly, you know, and this is one of many reasons why the earth is in the defiled state that is in, because Esau, he doesn't obey these laws, right? So reading on, it says, "But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land, a Sabbath for the Lord. Thou shalt neither sow thy field nor prune thy vineyard. That which groweth of his own accord of thy harvest thou shalt not reap, neither gather the grapes of thy vineyard undressed, for it is a year of rest unto the land. And the Sabbath of the land shall be meat for you, for thee, and for thy servant, and for thy maid, and for thy hired servant, and for thy stranger that sojourneth with thee, and for thy cattle, and for the beasts that are in thy land. shall all the increase thereof be meat. And thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of years unto thee, 7 times 7 years. And the space of 7 Sabbaths of years shall be unto thee 49 years. Then thou shalt cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound of the 10th day of the 7th month. In the day of atonement shall ye make the trumpet sound throughout all your land. And ye shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his family. All right, so this year of jubilee, right, this is the point that I want to touch on. Right, this year of jubilee, this is supposed to be like the so to say the reset. Right, it says, and ye shall hallow, Slacky, verse 11, jubilee shall that 50th year be unto you. Ye shall not sow, neither reap that which groweth of itself in it, nor gather the grapes of it in it of thy vineyard undressed. For it is the jubilee, it shall be unto you, it shall be holy unto you. Ye shall eat the increase thereof of that field, of the field. In the year of this jubilee ye shall return every man unto his possession. And if thou sell aught unto Salakia, and if thou sell aught unto thy neighbor, or buyest aught of thy neighbor's hand, ye shall not oppress one another. According to the number of years after the jubilee thou shalt buy of the neighbor, and according unto the number of years of the fruits he shall sell unto thee. According to the multitude of years thou shalt increase the price thereof, and according to the fewness of years thou shalt diminish the price of it. For according to the number of years of the fruits doeth he sell unto thee. Ye shall not therefore oppress one another, but thou shalt fear thy power, for I am the Lord your God. And you see, and again, because this is a part of why we're in this, one of many reasons why we're in the situation that we're in right now, because Jake, they don't want to listen. They didn't obey, right? Let me get a quick example. I'm gonna go to Jeremiah 34. I'll start at verse 1. It says, Jeremiah 34:1. The Lord, the word which came unto Jeremiah from the Lord, with Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and all his army, and all the kingdoms of the earth, of his dominion, and all the people fought against Jerusalem and against all the cities thereof, saying, Thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, Go and speak to Zedekiah, king of Judah, and tell him, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will give this city into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall burn it with fire. Right, so basically, when you read on, the Lord was getting ready to send the Babylonians to Judah. He was getting ready to send the Babylonians against Jake. Right, but when you jump down, to verse 8, it says, This is the word that came unto Jeremiah from the Lord. After that, the king Zedekiah had made a covenant with all the people which were at Jerusalem to proclaim liberty unto them. Because you see, again, this is written in our laws that, if you have another fellow Hebrew Israelite or Hebrew test, all right, if you have a fellow Hebrew as a servant, then you're not supposed to treat him with rigor. All right, you're not supposed to deal with them harshly. You're not supposed to deal with them as you would with the heathen. That's what the heathen are for. All right. But Jake, obviously they didn't keep these laws, man. Because verse 9 it says, verse 9 it says that every man should let his manservant and every man his maidservant, being in Hebrew or in Hebrewess, go free, that none should serve himself of them, to wit, of a Jew his brother. Now when all the princes and all the people which had entered into the covenant heard that everyone should let his manservant and everyone his maidservant go free, that none should serve themselves of them any more, then they obeyed and let them go. But afterward they turned and caused the servants and the handmaids whom they had let go free to return and brought them into subjection for servants and for handmaids. Thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, I made a covenant with your fathers in the day that I brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, saying, at the end of 7 years, let ye go every man his brother in Hebrew, which hath been sold unto thee. And when he hath served thee 6 years, going back to the law, right? But your fathers hearkened not unto me, neither inclined their ear. And ye were now turned and had done right in my sight, and proclaiming liberty, every man to his neighbor, and ye had made a covenant before me in the house which is called by my name. So you see, because again, the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah to let Jake know that, hey, whatever Hebrew manservant, maidservant, Hebrew or Hebrewess, all right, as you know, concerning your nation, that you had in servitude under you, let them go free. And Jake, they did that for a while, right? They did that for a while. But when you jump back up, all right, because they circled back and, you know, basically, you know, took them captives. It's like if you let someone out of prison and, you know, you're like, nope, come here, you know, you gonna, you know, as soon as they walk out the gates, right, it's like, nope, you grab them and nope, come on back, you know, you're going back into the cell. That's what Jake did at this time, you know. And if my memory serves me right, because again, the Lord was getting ready to send the Babylonians to Jake, you know. He was getting ready to send the Babylonians to Jake, and you know, I believe, you know, that, you know, the Lord was testing Jake, because the Lord was getting ready to send the Babylonians against Jake. And again, if my memory serves correct, something happened to where the Babylonians, they eased up. All right, they eased up, and you know, they pretty much left. And Jake saw that, and it was like, that's when they were like, you know, come on back. Like I said, they let them out the prison, right? And then and as soon as the Babylonians you know, eased up, they're like, nope, come on back, you know, back into the cell. That's pretty much what Jake did. And because of this, Jake was gonna the Lord was gonna, you know, punish Jake. He was gonna deal with Jake. But that just to show you again, because this is according to our laws, man, you know. You know, this is a part of our laws, our customs, right? You know, after a certain amount of time, all right, you would for whatever reason, if another Israelite, a fellow Israelite, was in servitude to another fellow Israelite, all right, again, you know, they weren't supposed to serve them or rule over them with rigor, all right, and deal with them harshly, all right. But not only that, they were only supposed to serve and be in servitude for you for a period of time, man. And Jake, they didn't obey this, so, you know, because again, the Lord was getting ready to send the Babylonians, but you know, I do believe that, hey, you know, Jake, they at first, when they got the command that, hey, whatever fellow Israelite that, you know, just let them go free. And Jake, they obeyed for a little while, but they turned back. And that was probably a test. And they failed that test. You know, the Lord, like I said, the Lord probably was testing them. And Jake failed that test. Right? But you can also read about this in Nehemiah, the 5th chapter, I do believe. You know, another example, you know, Jake oppressing Jake. And, you know, you can read about that in Nehemiah, the 5th chapter, I do believe. But nevertheless, after a certain period of time, you know, whatever fellow Israelite was in servitude to you, you were supposed to, after a certain period of time, you're supposed to let them go free, and all debt was supposed to be cleared. You know, like I said, it was basically like a reset. You're supposed to, you know, let me go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 15. I'll start at verse 1. Deuteronomy 15 and 1. At the end of every 7 years, thou shalt make a release. And this is a manner of the release. Every creditor that lendeth aught unto his neighbor shall release it. He shall not exact it of his neighbor or of his brother, because it is called the Lord's release. Of a foreigner, thou mayest exact it again. So you see, because again, we're not supposed to deal with a fellow Israelite in such manner. Now, as far as the heathens, the natural Gentiles, yeah, man, you know, whatever, the hell with them. But as far as your fellow Israelite, you're not supposed to deal with them in such manner. It says, of a foreigner thou mayest exact it again, but that which is thine with thy brother, thine hand shall release, save when there shall be no poor among you, for the Lord shall greatly bless thee in the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it. Only if thou carefully hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all these commandments which I command thee this day. And like I said, different points in history, times in history, Jake, they didn't obey this. And I just read an example in Jeremiah 31. It says, for the Lord thy power blesseth thee as he promised thee, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow, and thou shalt reign over many nations, but they shall not reign over thee. If there be among you a poor man of one of thy brethren within any of thy gates, in the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee, thou shalt not harden thine heart, nor shut thine hand from thy poor. But thou shalt open thine hand wide unto him, and thou shalt surely lend him sufficient for his need and that which he wanteth. And you see, because, you know, this is something that, hey, you know, brothers, you know, we just had the beautiful brothers from Birmingham, you know, beautiful brothers, man, you know, the water Yahweh shot for that experience. But we just had to, you know, when different brothers come to different towns and, you know, with, well, you know, fellow Akim where I at, hey, brothers open them with open arms, man. You know, brothers get taken care of. And that's how it's supposed to be. You know, going back to Lot, you know, when he seen the angels and, you know, he took them in, you know, that this is how it's supposed to be, man. Real brotherly love, right? But it says, but thou shalt open thine hand wide unto him, and shalt surely lend him sufficient for his need and that which he wanteth. Beware that there be not a thought in thy wicked heart, saying, the seventh year, the year of release, is at hand, and thine hand evil, and thy eye be evil against thy brother, and thou givest him naught, and he cry unto the Lord against thee, and it be sent unto thee. You know, that's just wicked, man. that's just all out wicked. You know, because Jacob, you know, Jacob pull some stuff, man. Jacob, Jacob find loopholes in this thing, man. They'll find loopholes, man. And, you know, again, it's just, this is why we're over here in the first place, man. You know, Jake just don't want to do right. Jake just don't want to listen. But I'm going to jump down to verse 12. It says, and if thy brother, an Hebrew man or an Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee, and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let him go free from thee. And when thou sendest him out free from thee, thou shalt not let him go away empty. Thou shalt furnish him liberally out of thy flock, and out of thy floor, and out of thy winepress, of that wherewith the Lord thy power hath blessed thee, thou shalt give unto him. And thou shalt remember that thou was a bondman in the land of Egypt, and the Lord thy power redeemed thee. Therefore I command thee this day. Therefore I command thee this thing today, and it shall be, if he say unto thee, I will not go away from thee, because he loveth thee, and thine house, because he is well with thee. Then thou shalt take an awl, and thrust it through his ear unto the door, and shall be thy servant forever, and also unto thy maidservant thou shalt do likewise. So basically, you know, I pretty much read past the point, but basically going into this year of release, all right, come the 7th year, all right, you know, at the end of 6 years, you know, if you have a fellow Israelite that's in servitude to you, man, you're supposed to, at the end of 6 years, supposed to, basically all debt is to be, you know, basically forgotten about, and it's supposed to be like a restart, a refresh. And this is actually, when you look into it, it's actually good for the economy, man. It's good for the economy, good for economics. The fuck you looking at, right? You see, man. But again, just to show the point that Esau, they know these scriptures, and, you know, they use these, like I said, you know, when it comes to us, watching different videos, going into different articles and stuff like that, we got to be able to chew the meat and spit out the bones, man. you know, what's useful and just disregard what's not useful, what's, you know, madness or whatever. Well, Esau, he does that on the left hand. He goes through these scriptures and they pick what is useful and what they can use and, you know, so on and so forth. But, you know, and as far as what's beneficial, what's righteous, Esau, he just discards that. So you see, as far as this reset, because like I said, just meditating on this whole debt ceiling situation, you know, it makes sense why that, you know, again, just speculating through the spirit, why they, you know, possibly they just, you know, they came up with this, bipartisan deal. And like I said, basically they're just kicking the can down the road just a little longer, man. Esau, he just prolonging things just a little longer, man. All right. Because again, in the form of this new release or this debt jubilee, all right, hey, you know, that's why I mentioned with all this tax of these cyber attacks, all right, EMP attacks, you know, some type of attack where it's just going to completely shut the grid down and people won't be able to access their bank accounts and everything's just going to be wiped out. Well, hey, the form of this new release, all right, Esau can present this thing to where, hey, all debt could be cleared and so on and so forth. All you got to do is take this C-hit, man. Hell, we even give you some credits, you know, give you 5,000 credits, 10,000 credits, whatever he does, man. Esau's going to do what he's do. He's going to do what he do. All right. You know, and people are going to take that shit like, you know, they're going to take that shit willingly, you know, all debt cleared. And, you know, basically you get a restart and then some, you know, you give you some little goodies, some little benefits, however he presents it. Like I said, man, this is all speculation, man. You know, Esau, he can present this in any type of way. Right. But again, don't be surprised, man. You know, because one day we're going to go to sleep and then the next day we're going to wake up and it's just, like I said, people aren't going to be able to access their bank account, or you might be able to access your bank account, but you won't, you know, it might be zero. You might not have no money in the bank account, right? Or you might get that text, go to your nearest C-HIP station and, you know, whatever, right? Everything's just going to be refreshed, you know? Everything's going to be refreshed, renewed, right? It's just going to be different. Because when I say refreshed and renewed, it's not going to be in righteousness, because that's going to come after the missiles and the elect, starting with Yahushai. All right, but Esau, hey, he's going to do something to just completely wipe out the system, and it's going to be a refreshing. The way of doing things and conducting business, operating in society, man, it's just going to be completely different. It's going to be totally different. And just like that, you know, swift, just like that, you know. So, hey, you know, hopefully the point was made and Lord willing this was edifying. Giving all praise to Yahweh Bashim Shai, double honors to the apostles, bishops, elders of great millstone. Shalom to you, hopefully elect.